Okay, in this video, I'm going to try to describe using my symbolic paintings. My symbolic paintings on how to make one-way glasses the proper kind. Now, you see, the current one-way glass isn't actually one-way glass. What happens with it is it's semi-silvered, so it's semi-transparent and semi-reflective. I have orange on my lips there, sorry about that. So what happens is the brighter side, you can't see what's going on the other side because the brighter side, you can only see your reflection because the brighter side is reflected back more than the darker side. So the darker side can see out, but the brighter side can't see in. Now, there was one technique I had with that way of doing it, which was to use that technique of the semi-silvered mirror, right? And I'll put, the mirror will be in blue. The mirror will be in blue. Excuse my mirror, it's not gluing up very nice. So this is one technique, which was to use, God, these Sharpies are awful on paper. Probably not made for anything else. LED, for feck's sake. Yes, Irish people say feck instead of the F-U-C-K word because it's kind of more, it's less extreme. It's like, feck's sake, lads. It's kind of, it's like a curse. It's like a half curse or like a ghosty curse. It's not violent. It's just like, that's crap. So feck's a good one. It actually means see in Irish, but we also use it to go like, feck's sake, lads. So that light, if you treated that like a panel, like a plane of fiber optic glass seen from the side, that's the semi-silver mirror section, and that's just the side that it sees through. If you shine that light back and forth inside that section of mirror, it'll stop, the theory is anyway, it'll stop that side shining through, but it'll let that side shine through on that side. So that's one idea. Or you could put like a torch maybe underneath and shine it up at it, but that's one of the ideas for a one-way glass. So then there's another one for one-way glass. I'll use my pens are all drying out like crazy. This room isn't like a dry room either. It's quite a damp room. Well, it's not damp. It's actually no, it is quite dry. This room, it's surprisingly dry if I think about it. No, it's not damp at all. I used to I had this fish thing, and it was about the size. It was a fish tank, and it was about the size of a bathtub up on my shelves over there. And it would just, like, in a week it would lose nearly half its water. So I just live in my bedroom is technically the Sahara Desert. So and when I wake up really dehydrated. So the next one I'm just going to talk about a single panel. So we created I'll draw a what's it called? Feck it. Another, maybe it's just because I'm drawing on 2 layers or something like that, because you need 2 layers of paper, otherwise your pen just kind of goes gammy. So the next idea is this, and it's what I call frequency shifting. You can use crystals to frequency shift light up and down the spectrum. So this rainbow, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. Oh, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. Oh, ho, ho. Let's get our blue done, and where's dark blue? Dark blue. Get over here, dark blue. Okay, so you have your, sorry about taking so long. So you have your glass like that. And what it does is the crystals frequency shift the light. So that band of light would become more, the reds would become more yellow, the yellows would become more green, and the blues would become more darker blue. So if you sent it through that and you filtered out the light above and below those frequencies, you could block them by sending one down in frequency and one up in or so you can't really send them up in frequency because UVs can be quite dangerous, but you could send them down in frequency and then send the others further down in frequency. Then those ones further down in frequency would be blocked by another panel that only absorbs the lower end of the spectrum. These ones would go through and then get pulled back up to the right frequency. So that's another way of doing one-way glass. The glass would look black on one side and would look just see-through on the other. So that's an absorption one-way panel. Another one is basically the same as the first one, except the light panel that the silver mirror. So it's the same as the first one, except one side of this, I'll kind of put a cross pattern on it. So that side with the hatching, that's just to pretend that's a solid. And so the hatching is just to indicate it's a different material. That material would be a light amplifier, and you'd have the semi-silver mirrored again, and the light amplifier would send as the light went through it, it would amplify the light, and then the part that got the part that went through and the part that got split back would be, there'd be enough energy for them both. You could do the same on the other side, which was you could have the inverse of a light amplifier or something like that. Another one would be a directional absorption of light. So I'll draw that. Arrows, arrows, arrows. So directional absorber of light. So if light's going from this direction to that direction, it conducts through. But if it goes in the opposite direction, this would work very much the same as this one, except it would be absorbed in one direction. You could do these as well. These ones that shift up and down the light spectrum one way, or you could do it so it shifts up in both directions for use for one-way glass. The last one is now I can't remember how I thought of this one. It's basically one-way opacity. So if you had so the mirror, the glass would look white in one direction, and it would look see-through in the other direction. So I'll draw another. I'll use pink because pink and white seem to be very alike. They're very shapely waves. So man, that's pink still not working. Where's the other pen? My other multi-pen. I need to get more of these multi-pens. I just love them. They're so clever. I might start getting what are they called? You know, ooh, that's a nice pink. That is a nice pink. So my favorite anime hair colors are light green, cyan, pink, and black. Black would be the king of them, but I like them all as well. I like the others as well because I like black. Black would be my favorite hair color, but I like the others equally as well. So they'd also be kind of my equal as well. So that pink panel you could have it pink instead of white, but the idea is it's one-way opacity. So the light gets scattered going one way, but not the other way. And I think they would be the best looking for houses. So if you had a house across the street, if it was reflective, it wouldn't look very good. I had basically how I came up with that idea was there's a thing called a depth of field adapter. So in a camera, if you get a really sort of how would you say the surface? You'd probably make it. The surface would have to be very brittle, like cracked, fractured. It'd have to be fractured, and that's what scatters the light. Is all the fractures in the material, the unevenness in the material. But what you want is you want it to do it in one direction only and not the other direction. So the depth of field adapters, what they do is as light comes from your lens, it's shaped like a cone. And that point in the top of the cone is the pixel of the image. So if you were to project what you're looking at in the image, that point of the cone is the pixel of the scenery that you're looking at, that segment of the scenery. So if you give me a second now, I can fully explain this because I was thinking of it with types of matter. So the idea is to have opacity in one direction, which is scattering in one direction only. So if the light goes through in one direction, it won't scatter, and if the light goes through another direction, it will scatter. The other thing is that white tends to be blends of all the different colors. So if you add all the different colors together, it's not just one shaped wave. There's several shaped waves that are white, and the same goes for pink. There's probably an infinite number of waves that are white and an infinite number of waves that are pink. Whereas things like yellow is just a single. Well, actually, yellow does have shaped waved yellows as well as sine wave yellows. So all the colors have different shaped yellows. But what you want is you want it to be white or pink in one direction, and you want it to be see-through in the other direction, or maybe have tints of different sort of cream colors and things like that. So the windows are completely white. Now, personally, I think that if we managed to do that, that would be what all the houses would end up using. They might use silver as well, because silver kind of looks cool, but the one-way glass would mean that you could walk around in your house and look out, and no one could look into your living quarters. So I have a little tear of sweat there. I'm sorry about that. Okay, now let me think how I imagined that one-way opacity glass. So what was it again? There's the scatter technique, right? So it scatters going in one direction, but not the other direction. So as the light's going in one direction, it's just going through, making its way through the glass, and that's fine. As the light's going in the other direction, it blooms out. So it just suddenly, it's like hitting a tiny little lens that causes it to, instead of going in a straight line, to go in a spherical direction. You could also have blue as well, because that's like the sky. So what you want is a material that's acts like a lens in one direction. So the whole material would be like an infinite lenticular array material, right? And it only acts in one direction, but not the other. So that's one way you would get opacity light. So if you could create matter that was naturally a lenticular array, or naturally a fly's eye lens, like if you just kept on making spheres, ball matter is what it's called. It gets smaller and smaller and smaller, the balls do, until eventually the matter is just balls, tiny, like infinite tiny little balls, kind of like how people imagined atoms would work. So ball matter is what you need. And then you need it to work in one direction and not the other direction. So the best way I can think of doing that is, so you'd have your ball matter that would cause it to be super opaque, or super spread the stuff. And then you'd need what I call lens matter. So there's a thing I call a perfect lens, and this is the perfect lens, right? So if I draw the lens side on, so you need some sort of lens matter to make sure it, all my blues have stopped working. They're gonna chase the blues away. It must be love, love, love. Nothing more, nothing less. Love is the best. Yes, all my blues are depressing me today. I'm gonna have to get more blue stuff. Even this one's being a jerk. So perfect lens is this, right? So I'll draw the light ray in red, okay? And I'll give it a direction as well. So it's kind of like a sideways mirror is how you describe it. Okay, so that's a perfect lens. That there is a perfect lens. It's kind of like a sideways mirror. So basically, that angle that it enters in is equal to the angle. So that angle A is and that angle B, A is equal to B, and that's the perfect lens. And so you could combine some sort of matter like that, or let me think. How could you get it to not scatter? So basically, what you need to make it scatter is tons and tons and tons of little spheres. Like you just keep on. You can make spheres smaller and smaller. That's kind of like how raindrops work. They get smaller and smaller as they're raining. So you could probably use some sort of wind chamber and liquid and just keep on blowing it through till it gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller till it's like nanometers in size, and then you encase it in the material. Now, how do I do it directionally is the question. And I had a way of doing it directionally, and I can't remember what that was. So that it would scatter in one direction and not in another direction. What was it again? So it would come in as a line and it would spread out. So if you had that matter, so if you had like it would come in as a line of light and it would spread out as a cone of light, right? But if you do use something like that and send it in the other direction, it's coming in as a cone of light and it's getting turned into a line of light. So that would be how you kind of create one-way scattering glass. That was it. Yeah, was that that sort of perfect lens matter would turn everything into cones of light, and then it would hit the ball matter, which would be like a lens over the entire surface, which would turn it into a straight line. But the stuff coming the other way would actually, if you flip that idea, so that idea would then be the light going out would be opaque and the light would be scattered, and the light coming in would be straight lines. So if you put that perfect lens in front of that, it would turn it all into cones of light. You could change the angle of A to B to create like super shallow cones. So everything would be turned into cones of light. It would hit the opacity material, the billions and billions and billions of little spheres. Then those billions of spheres would turn it into lines of light, and it would be able to travel through without actually scattering. But if you sent it the other way, the lines of light would hit the balls, and then they would scatter. They'd completely scatter, and then they'd be put back together in the wrong cones. So that would create your material or it would create your one-way glass that scatters in one direction and not in another. Now, there's another way to do the white scattering, and that is color amplification. So directional amplification of light. So if you, geez, these pens are bugging the hell out of me. Let's just use red. Fuck it. Excuse my language. So one-way glass. Okay. So there's a thing called a light amplifier. So you can pass electricity through it, or you can pass light through it, and it'll amplify things. You can use what the idea is now is to use what's called a color amplifier. So it'll amplify color in one direction, but it won't amplify color in another direction. So if you fire like all the spectrum of the light through this direction, all the spectrum will amplify a single color and come out that way. And that way you can have white, red, blue, or anything color direction, or any color you want. But because it's a one-way amplifier, if you send in light in the opposite direction, it won't actually cause any sort of amplification. It may cause the splitting of the light if you allow it, if you change the properties, but it's a one-way color amplifier. So that's another way to get white windows or pink windows or yellow windows. The last way to do it is to use Polaroid glasses and they call it the Faraday effect. I don't think it's actually invented by Faraday. You'll find if there's a idea around, there's probably a British scientist's name on it. It's one of those things of having to be the best, and it's an unfortunate thing that you want. It's a form of racism. Basically, nationalism is a form of racism. I don't mind if you want to create a race of British people and you do it with consenting people who want to consent to do that, but don't get a superiority complex about you, because that's racism. Anyway, I was saying, I'll just draw another one on the other side for the other way to do one-way glass would be to use it's called the Faraday effect. Basically, if you stick a magnetic coil around a stream of light, it'll change the polarization. So the light going through that will change the polarization. So this is left-hand polarized and that's right-hand polarized. This will go through, changes polarization, and come through that. Now, the thing is, it'll always change the polarization in the same direction. So if this comes back and then is rotated again by that, it won't rotate it in the opposite direction, back the way it came. It'll rotate it still in the same direction. So that'll then mean that that's a one-way light valve using the Faraday effect, or the magnetic light polarization spin effect. So as the light comes back through, it won't be able to come back in the other direction. So that's another way to make one-way glass. What's interesting is I've never seen them mess around with this idea with circularly polarized light. I thought that might be a way to make holograms, because you could maybe put one in a room and fire circularly polarized light through it, and it would act kind of like a virtual emitter. But anyway, so that's the video. That's me for tonight, probably. I'll probably throw up a few more inventions. My room needs a clean. It's a total mess. I have inventions coming out the wazoo. I want to make the water thing tomorrow. I have a script with a friend that I need to get going. I have a server and a website I need to create. So yeah, so that's practically everything. Things are going well. Tomorrow I'll show you, maybe tonight, I'll show you my way to learn things super quickly. It's called a linearized learning table. It's like when you learn the 10 times tables at school, but a lot cooler and a lot easier to use. So yeah, that'll probably be in my next video. If not, I might have gone on a tangent, and I apologize. So thanks for watching the Inventor blog, and I hope you maybe give it a try making one-way glass that or all the different types of one-way glass that we could have for our houses, to have our houses super private without having to have net curtains on the windows. So thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.